I came across Konstantin Kissin's video Why I'm Off the Fence about Israel's war, which I highly recommend watching if you haven't already. In this video, he provides compelling responses to 4 of the most common pro-Palestinian arguments. I'll put a link in the description. In this video, he also talks about the comparison between the terrorist attacks of October 7 in Israel and the ones of 9/11 in the US. He concluded that they can't be compared in terms of sheer scale, stating that the October 7 attack was at least 12 times worse than the one on 9/11. And even though I fully understand this logic, I do think it's important to consider a few of the following things. The 9/11 attacks killed around 0.001% of the US population at the time, while the October 7 attacks killed roughly 0.013% of Israel's population. This does make October 7 worse by a factor of about 12 in terms of deaths relative to population size. And as Konstantin pointed out, this is before even considering the 251 hostages taken that day. If we look purely at the loss of life ratio, then yes, October 7 is definitely at least 12 times as bad as 9/11. But what does 12 times as bad really mean in practice? How is it translated into emotional impact? If we look at the numbers 0.001% and 0.013%, we see quite a difference. But when we look at the 2,977 deaths on the US side and around 1,200 deaths on the Israeli side, plus 251 hostages, many of whom were killed, the difference, at least to me, becomes smaller. It can sometimes be hard to grasp what a number means, and numbers can at times be misleading or misunderstood without proper context. For example, what immediately comes to mind is the movie Dodgeball. Even though it's a comedy, it cleverly applies the idiom "something gets lost in translation" when White Goodman asks Peter LaFleur if he's ever seen $100,000, only to realize how small the amount appears when packed into a suitcase. When expectations differ from reality, it could lead to a disconnect or loss of impact. Or take a rate increase from 10 to 15%. It's a 5 percentage point increase, which is relatively small, but it's actually a 50% increase overall. Or how about 1,000 views versus 1 million views on YouTube? Many creators like myself aspire to reach a high number of views. However, 1,000 views may not seem like much to some, but if you put 1,000 people in a hall and they watch you do your thing, it becomes much more impactful. But even 1 view can be impactful, it just depends on who's watching. If someone you admire or someone you like watches your video, it becomes more meaningful. And that's the thing, it's the connection between numbers and emotions that is important. And this brings me to how we perceive the events of 9/11 and October 7. When the attacks on 9/11 in 2001 took place, I saw how the second tower was hit by an airplane on live television that day, a moment I will probably never forget. On October 8, 2023, and in the days that followed, watching Israelis fight for their lives was pretty much just as impactful to me as everything I saw about 9/11. The abundance of footage from both events, perhaps unfortunately, made them even more impactful. Without that footage, the emotional impact would have been less significant. So both events carried similar emotional weight for me until I saw how the world, especially in the West, responded to October 7. It wasn't the number of deaths or even the brutality of the attacks that deepened the impact, but rather the way some students, speakers, media outlets, and influential leaders reacted to the devastating event. The latter in particular had an enormous emotional effect on me. I was shocked to see how many people failed to empathize with the Israelis. I was equally shocked by how many couldn't or didn't want to distinguish between right and wrong. I was so disappointed in a specific media outlet here in the Netherlands where I live that after following them for decades, I stopped reading and watching their news. As Martin Luther King Jr. pointed out, you can only know where people truly stand at times of challenge and controversy. Again, for me, the events of October 7 and 9/11 have a similar impact. I didn't focus much on the death toll, I just witnessed the horrors happening in front of my eyes. The comparison between October 7 and 9/11 still holds at an emotional and symbolic level in my opinion. It's just that the aftermath of October 7 makes this event stand apart. So what do you think? Let me know in the comments. Take care.